number 16 of Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Most of you guys will know my co-host Willie here, and we are coming to you from our farm here in the Arkansas Ozarks. I am a third-generation family farmer, and I own 170 acres, which I raise grass-fed beef cattle, horses. I also have show-quality rabbits and heritage poultry, and in addition, I am fur kid mom to 14 dogs, 5 indoor cats, and an undetermined number of outside cats. Plus, I am a haven for a lot of rescue mini horses and donkeys that have come into my life because they needed a safe place to go. Plus, a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost. This is a podcast also about science because I am a professor of physics and astronomy at a local university, so I like to talk about science topics and young women in STEM especially. And also, I am a crafter. I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, pretty much anything I can get my hands on. So I like to share a little bit of everything with you, and so if that sounds interesting to you, we're going to get started here with episode number 16 of Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Okay guys, if you're looking for us on social media, you can find my farm Facebook page under the same name as my YouTube channel. It's Buckthorn Farms. I'm also on Instagram and Ravelry as Doc Firewoman. Plus, there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, where you can find out about make-alongs. We just finished a make-along, and I'm going to announce some prize winners here in just a second. And then I'm kind of mulling over ideas for a new one that will probably start later this summer. I encourage you to go on there and join the group. There's a chatter, there's like a questions thread and just a general chit-chat thread of what people are working on. And also, if you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. When I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to have a giveaway, I think. And I think the last time I checked, I was at 83. I kind of waffle back and forth. I'll get a couple and I'll lose some or whatever. I don't know. I try not to think about that too much because I'd let it bother me. But anyway, so we've got some giveaways tonight. I had a make-along. I had the charity make-along, which just ended on July the 2nd, and it was where we aimed to make items for charity. And I was so tickled. We had a total of 37 finished objects entered, and some of y'all really got after it. I was really impressed. There were several people who had many entries, and I drew for prizes. I used the random.org random number generator, and I drew for prizes tonight, so I'm going to announce those winners. And if you will just contact me, if I shout out your name, just contact me through Ravelry with your full name and mailing address, and I'll get those in the mail to you probably next week. I am going to be at a conference the rest of this week, which I'll talk about later on. So I won't be able to mail things, but if you'll get that to me, I'll try to mail them out next week so that you can have your prizes. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much for participating in this. I was able to take my quilts by the River Valley Hospice home last week, and they were very pleased to get them. So let's do some giveaways, okay? Okay. So our first item that I'm going to give away is this beautiful skein of yarn by Leon Alexander Yarns. He was very kind to donate this skein of yarn to me. He taught a dyeing class that I attended, and he is also going to be teaching the same sort of dyeing class at the East Texas Fiber Festival, which I've already signed up for and I plan to attend in November. And if you see behind me, I have a different co-host at the moment. My cat Simon is in here. Oh. Anyway, so he donated this beautiful skein of yarn. This is called Spice Market, and it's from his Take Me to Bollywood collection, and it's 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon and 430 yards and 100 grams. And the winner of the Leon Alexander skein of yarn is Shirley Knits 123, and she made a whole bunch of cancer kicking critters. She crocheted a whole bunch of these different cute little creatures to give to kids who were fighting cancer. So yay, Shirley Knits 123, you won this beautiful skein of yarn. Okay, our next prize up is a skein of Lamb's Pride. This was donated by Paradise Fibers. This is Lamb's Pride bulky weight yarn, and this is from the Brown Sheep Company. This is 85% wool and 15% mohair, and it is a bulky weight yarn. It's 125 yards per 4 ounces, and this colorway is called Mulberry. Okay, so there's that, and the winner of this is Weld Pro, who is my friend Carol. She crocheted many Afghans to donate to the River Valley Hospice House, so I know she'll put this to good use. So, Weld Pro, you have won this skein of Lamb's Pride yarn. I'll get that to you when we have lunch next week. Okay, we also have another skein of Lamb's Pride yarn, also donated by Paradise Fibers. It's the same as the other one, except this colorway is called Orchard Blush. Okay, Orchard Blush. And the winner of this was Sparky123. I don't know what your name is, but your Ravelry name is Sparky123, and they made a red scarf for the Red Scarf Project, which is a project that aids foster kids that are aging out of the foster care system. So it's a really good project that kind of helped them transition into adulthood, which is wonderful. So they made that. So Sparky123, you won this. Okay, very good. Okay. Then we have some bags donated by Jasmine from Tesla Knits. Let me see if I can find her card real quick. She is unfortunately closing her Etsy shop. That's her logo. She is closing her Etsy shop. I don't know if she has any plans to do a private shop, but her shop is still open right now, but it's going to be closing when the Etsy fees go up. But she donated 4 bags and 4 sets of stitch markers and measuring tape. So your prize will consist of a bag, a set of stitch markers, and a measuring tape. Okay? Alright, so the periodic table bag, which is my personal favorite out of all of them, the periodic table bag and a set of stitch markers and a measuring tape goes to also Weld Pro, who again made some Afghans to donate to the hospice house. So Carol, you won a bag. I will get that to you along with your skein of yarn. So I'm going to put the measuring tape and the stitch markers down in this bag and close it up. Okay, the next bag, which is the Symbols of Science bag and a set of stitch markers and a tape, goes to Needlewoman 87. Needlewoman 87 made a bunch of hats to donate to the Calgary Children's Hospital. So she made a whole bunch of beautiful hats to give to the children's ward there. So Needlewoman 87, you have won the Tesla Knits Symbols of Science bag along with a measuring tape and a set of stitch markers. So I'll put those all together. Okay, then the Fox bag and a set of stitch markers and measuring tape was won by Antonia G. Yay! Sea Otter. Antonia G. made a whole bunch of cat cage comforters for cats in rescues. So she made, and she is a new sewist, so she did a great job on those, and her cat Indy tested them out, so I know that they're cat approved. So anyway, so Antonia, you have won a bag, a measuring tape, and a set of stitch markers. So I hope you enjoy that. Okay. Last but not least, we have the Van Gogh Starry Night bag, also from Tesla Knits, and again, a set of stitch markers and a measuring tape. And the winner of this bag is also our second double winner, Shirley Knits 123. You have also won this beautiful bag and a measuring tape and a set of stitch markers. Yay! Okay, then I had donated 2 patterns. The first pattern was just a pattern of your choice from Ravelry, up to $10 in value. And the winner of that was A Historian Knits. So Vanessa, you won a pattern, okay? I know that she made hats for the neonatal preemie baby unit at her local hospital. So get a hold of me, Vanessa. I know you have just moved, so when you get settled in, get a hold of me, and I will you can pick out a pattern and let me know which one you like, and I'll get it sent to you on Ravelry. And last but not least, Vanessa had written a sock pattern called the Ups and Downs Socks, which I had test knit, and a portion of the proceeds from that sock pattern was going to a homeless shelter. Now, she was kind enough, when I found out she was going to do that, I was going to buy a pattern, but she was kind enough to gift me a pattern, so I'm going to buy the pattern that I was going to buy anyway and gift it to the winner, who is E. Spencer in North Carolina, or E. Spencer in NC. You made, or she made, excuse me, you know what she made, chemo hats for cancer patients. So you have won the Ups and Downs sock pattern by Vanessa for A Historian Knits podcast. So, yay! And I'm going to try to make a little montage of some of the things, a photo montage of some of the things that were made, and insert it after this segment so that you can kind of see some of the different things that were made. And I plan on doing this again. The next make-along that I'm going to have is also going to have a pay-it-forward kind of theme to it. I'm still kind of working out the details with my friend Carol. I've got some ideas that we're kind of kicking around. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably start it probably the 1st of September. I need to get back to school and get things kind of going there, and then we'll start our next make-along 1st of September. Okay? All right. So thank you so much, everybody who participated in the charity make-along. It warmed my heart to see everybody kind of coming out and helping and doing things, and I hope that you got a good fuzzy feeling from doing it too. So now we're going to move on and talk about, I have a finished object this week, so we're going to talk about that next. Okay. Okay guys, I actually have a finished object this week and I'm so excited to share it. This is the Kraken Shawl by Two Hearts Crochet, which is Alex. And this is a filet crochet shawl. It's actually really easy. She gives you a very nice graph when you purchase the pattern. She gives you a very nice graph with all your row counts so you know what to make. Alright, and I finished it. Yay! I made it out of the beautiful yarn from Suutra Fiber Arts. This is what I have left. Now, I still need to make my tassels. I haven't done that, so I'll have slightly less than this. But this is her Vase base, which is her MCN base, and this is a colorway called Northern Lights. And this light is really not doing it justice. That green just really glows. But I did finish it. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up in here because you really need a light background. I have not blocked this. I have finished it, but I have not blocked it. So, I don't know the best way to show this. If I get a light behind it, that might. Let me go turn the light on and see if you can see it better. Hang on just a second. Excuse me. Okay, so let me see if that works better. You can see, no, not really. You can kind of make it out a little bit there when the light shines through it. But I did finish it. It is a filet crochet shawl, and I haven't blocked it yet, but you can kind of make out the figure. I think it's because I decided to hold fingering weight double, but I think once I block it and I sort of spread out these openings, it'll show up a lot more dramatically. I haven't blocked it yet. I just finished it on Monday. But it is a shawl. Now, it does have 3 tassels, and I am going to make the tassels because I really think they do set it off. And if you'll notice the way the tassels are made, she's actually got an up-close picture of them here. They're beaded. They've got a bead on them, and then she's put a clasp, a lobster claw clasp on them so you can remove them to wash them. So I have got some lobster claw clasp because I make jewelry and I never throw anything away. And so I'm going to make me some tassels tomorrow if I have time. I'm trying to get ready to go out of town for this conference, and owning a farm and trying to be gone for even a couple of days is you got to do a lot of planning ahead. Let's just put it that way. And so I'm trying to get ready for that. But at any rate, so that is the Kraken Shawl by Two Hearts Crochet. She has an Etsy shop, and she is also on Ravelry. So I encourage you to check her stuff out. She has a lot of free patterns, and she also does amigurumi, and so if you're interested in doing that, and she is just getting ready to start a class on graphgans, on how to do graphgans. So if you're interested, if that's something that you're interested in doing, and that's the Afghans with the basically a picture. It makes a picture on there, so she shows you how to graph that stuff out and then crochet it so that it looks right. So I encourage you to check her out. So that is my finished object this week, my Kraken Shawl by Two Hearts Crochet. Cool. Yay. Okay, we'll come back and talk about lots of whips because I went a little cast on crazy, so we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I went a little cast on crazy, but the first thing I'm going to show you is not a yarny FO. Oh, hang on just a second. Willie got to be back up here now. So, alright. So, the first thing I'm going to show you is I got to working on my log cabin quilt kit. Now, this is the front page of the kit. I purchased this kit in 2005, right before I moved back home, because I guess I thought I was moving to the, the back end of the world, and I was never going to find a quilt store or anything again. So I went to Patchwork Place, and I kind of shot the moon and bought 3 really beautiful quilt kits, which have sat undone in a crate in my sewing stuff ever since. So I said to myself, this year I'm going to make at least one of those quilt tops. So this is the easiest one to start with. It is a lap quilt. It's a log cabin quilt. And if you're not familiar with log cabin construction, it's strip pieced, okay? And I'm not giving anything away. This is a typical log cabin construction. And then they had put together fabrics in that kit, which then you, and I'm working on putting my fabrics on. So you can see there the light color part of the block is all the same fabric, just cut into strips. And then there's like 5 or 6 different darker fabrics that are the dark side. And then you set them together in this fashion. And I'm actually making, I guess I have the page, I dropped the page that has the lap quilt. But you set them together, it's a lap quilt, so I'm only going to have 48 blocks, but they're going to look something like that. Okay? So this is actually, this is not quite the lap quilt size either. I'm going to have, well, no, yeah, it is. I'm going to have the same configuration right here. I'm going to have 3 across and 4 down blocks when I'm done, except these are not the fabrics that I'll be using. Okay? So got a long ways on that. I've still got a little ways to go. I think I'm on the 3rd round of strips, and it has a total of, let's see, got 1 more round to go, and I'll have all my strips on my blocks, and then I can start putting my blocks together. Okay? So I've got 1 more round of light. Is that right? 1 more round of light and 1 more round of dark, and then my blocks will be done, and I'll put them together. Okay, so yay, I'm further along on that than I thought. Okay, now, I went a little cast on crazy, I'm not going to lie. I am going to a conference in Atlanta, and it is being organized by some good friends of mine. It's called Mystic South, and it is a conference that covers a lot of, it's kind of looking at sort of the mystical side or the spiritual side of different traditions of the South. And I'm actually doing a workshop. I had signed up to do a workshop on the science behind weather lore, and I'm going to talk about that on here one week. But, you know, like the phrase, ring around the moon, rain or snow by noon. Why is that actually correct or pretty accurate? And there's a scientific reason for that. So I'm going to sort of demystify a lot of the phrases from weather lore. But they had a presenter cancel, and they needed some fill-in people because the person that canceled was doing, I think, about 4 different sessions. So they are doing a session called the back porch or the front porch sessions, where we're going to sit and talk about things. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is craftivism. And Marla got the idea, my friend that's helping organize it. Oh, hello, Simon. Marla had got the idea from listening to me talk on my podcast about craftivism. And actually, Stacy and I are talking about doing a much more in-depth craftivism workshop next year. But she just wanted me to kind of talk about what I'm doing. So I'm going to talk about the Welcome Blanket Project. I've I have to go into work tomorrow and pick up a projector and print out handouts for my talk. And I'm going to print out details about the welcome blanket project, which I mentioned last week. So I went ahead and started a block for the welcome blanket project. It's you use bulky weight yarn, so I'm just using some scrap yarn right now. And this took me maybe an hour to do this. It did not take long. Okay, Simon. It did not take long at all to do this. You make the welcome blanket is 4 blocks wide by 4 by 4. Okay, so it's 16 total blocks. And the way you set it together is kind of like the log cabin, where these points come together, and it's called the pattern's called Come Together. Okay, and so I'm going to talk about this among some other things, including the Tits Out collective that just happened, and some other things as a way to be, as a crafter, you can express your views that way also. So that is the first thing that I started. That's not really a cast on, that's a hook on, I guess. Okay, Simon. He wants to be involved, I guess. Okay. Then, the next thing that I cast on, speaking of the Tits Out collective, I purchased 2 skeins of yarn as part of that wonderful day, and we'll talk more about that in acquisition. So this is technically an acquisition. This is a yarn by Honeybee Knits. This is her version of the Countess Ablaze yarn, okay, and it's called Be Positive, okay, and B is spelled B-E-E, okay, and so I purchased this, and I've already wound it, as you can see, and I am making, or I just have started, the We Were Seeds shawl by Riza Knits, okay, and it's like they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. All right, so that kind of speaks to a lot of my feelings right now. So I wanted to start this shawl, and I thought that yarn would be perfect for that. So I have just barely started it, but I will show you what I have got done here. I mean, I literally have just barely started. I have that much. But I have started it, and I thought, you know, do you ever think that where you work on your stuff kind of imbues a certain energy to it? I do. So I wanted to take this particular project for sure to this conference where I was going to be surrounded by a lot of people of like mind and good thoughts and positive energy. And I thought, I want that energy in my stitches as I work on this thing. Now this is in my bag by April 9 Designs. April 9 Designs on Etsy. She has an Etsy shop, and she has beautiful bags. This is one of her medium or larger project bags. Okay, she always gives you a progress keeper, and this is one of her bags that has the tape measure sewn inside of it. So I really highly recommend her bags. They are very well made, very sturdy. They stand up nicely on their own. You can open them up. I suppose you could even flip the top down if you really wanted to. So there's that. Okay, so that's my next piece of cast-on itis. Then I went to the yarn store. I went to Knit 2 Together the other day just to poke my head in and pick up a new pair of sock needles, because I want to try using a size 1 sock needle for a change, just to see, which is I think it's a 2.25 millimeter sock needle instead of a 2.5, which is what I've been using. And I spied these little bags, and this was a splurge I probably didn't need to do, but this is a bag by Fat Bottom Bags, and it's got kitty cats on it and all their different moods. And I think I still have the card down in here. Let me see if I can quickly find that to show you. Yes, Fat Bottom Bags, okay. And they also give you a stitch marker keeper on your bag. It's a clothespin, a safety pin, but it's got a little charm on it that says Made with Love. And again, I think the energy that you put into something is really important, because, you know, like I said, there's magic in those stitches. Now, this is also a yarn by Honeybee Knits. This was her special edition fundraising yarn for her friend who died of esophageal cancer, and I think the colorway is called Soraya. All right, it's a beautiful purple. All right, and I am casting on, or I cast on, a pattern by a friend of mine. She goes by Needle to Needle on Ravelry, but I know her as Bay Area Knitter through geocaching, and her name is Christine, and she wrote the pattern, the Haylie's Hug Cowl. And this is a pattern in memory of a young woman who lost her life to cancer, to osteosarcoma, and she was very young. She was only 9 years old. And this pattern is donating, part of the proceeds donate to a foundation in her memory. And her name was Haylie Strong Jackson, and it is a beautiful cowl. So I cast that on, and I'm literally just, I think I'm 3 rounds in here. I'm not very far, but like I said, I got cast on itis the other night. I was watching Who Do You Think You Are on YouTube, and I just went crazy and cast on a whole bunch of things. So that is in my Fat Bottom Bags kitty cat bag. Okay. Now, oops, look out, Willie. Then, also in my fit of cast-on-itis, I finally cast on in my Tesla Knits periodic table bag. I washed my project bags because they were getting a little hair-coated from all the animals enjoying them. So I cast on here in the yarn that I got from Craftsy. This is some of their Cloudborn fingering. This is Josh's Cat is the colorway. And with my new size 1 needles, or 2.25 millimeter needles, I cast on, finally, Julia from the Happy Knitting Podcast, Couch and Cracker Socks. Okay, so I cast those on, and I've just got a few rounds of the toe done. I got big plans, I guess, for this conference. It's a pity I can't get somebody to drive me, because then I'd have about 16 hours of car knitting time. But I got to drive myself, and I'm pretty sure I can't knit and drive. You maybe can knit and walk, but I think they probably frown on you knitting and driving. Although I've seen people put their makeup on and read books and eat Subway sandwiches. You know, there's some food you can't eat and drive very well. Foolishly, one time I was driving home from Oklahoma, and I thought that buying a foot-long chili cheese coney from Sonic was a good idea. You can't eat that and drive. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway. All right. Now, let's see. I have not started him yet, but I have made good on my promise to start my monster pouch, my Kelvin Monster Zipper Pouch. This is by One Dog Wolf. Okay, One Dog Wolf on Instagram and also on Ravelry. This is a free pattern from her blog. It is a zipper pouch. Now, I haven't even started him yet. All I have done is stick some yarn in here with a crochet hook, and I am just making him out of some plain old Red Heart rainbow acrylic, because I can't have just a plain monster pouch. You know, what good is a plain monster pouch when you have a rainbow monster pouch, right? Yeah. I ain't right. Anyway, let's see. Then, this is, I'll just show this to you one more time. This is my Raina shawl. Alright, I have made a little bit of progress on it. I'm getting about tired of it, so it's gonna be done eventually here, because I'm just gonna get tired of working on it, is what's gonna happen. I've still got another skein of this yarn, but this is supposed to be a one skein project, and I'm getting down to the last. My dogs got into the skein, so I've got little balls now. When I finish these little balls, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be done with this. It may be a shawlette, but that's okay. So this is the Raina shawl. It's just a simple garter stitch with some eyelet, and I'm kind of freelancing what I'm doing here. I'm not even really following the pattern. I'm just kind of doing some garter for a while, and then making some eyelets for a while, and doing some garter for a while, and making some eyelets. The yarn is Kimarie Knacks in a colorway called Hippie Chick, and this is her Sparkle Hippie Chick. Okay, I don't know if you can tell that it's sparkly, but it's a really beautiful yarn. I love the colors, and it's very summery. Okay, so that is in my Tesla Knits Star Trek, the original series characters bag. Okay, I'm a big fan of the Star Trek series and all the things, all the messages that it tried to convey. I love the idea of it. So this is from Tesla Knits also. Okay, and let's see. And then last but not least, I think, let me look in my bag, yeah. Last but not least, I got a wild hair and have really been doing a lot on this Impressionist shawl by Helen Stewart. Okay, so I am actually down in these last rows here on this shawl. I am at the 75% done mark. Okay, And I'm getting to where I'm fixing to switch over exclusively to my dark colored yarn. My 3 colorways are here. I'm done. I'm done, completely done with this light color. This is called Heads Will Roll. It's Primrose Yarn Company, and this is their Sophia base, which is MCN. I've got 2 more rows of this green, which is Maple Leaf, which is also Primrose Yarn Company, and then I'm going to switch over exclusively to this, which is Area 51 by Kimarie Knacks. Okay, and I really love this, and I'm interested to see how this works up, because what I've noticed is you couldn't tell really a whole lot about it because there's just a row here and a row there. But I noticed that when you got into these sections where this light color really shined was where it had big blocks of it. So I'm excited to get to this end part and really see how this yarn shines being worked in a big section. Okay, so see if you can tell anything about this here. Well, and of course I'm in the middle of the doggone row. And my dog Lucky is in a chewing mood. That is the plug-in to my laptop. Don't know what's going on with him. He's nervous or worried or something, and he's been chewing a lot. So I've been trying to pay more attention to him, but yeah, that's a plug for my laptop. Right, a good thing to happen right before you go to a conference. But anyway, so y'all have seen this 11 times, I know, by other people, so I will just quickly, well, you can't tell a thing about it because it's wadded up and twisted up, and I don't even know why I bothered getting it out. But anyway, I am up to where I am getting ready to do my last rows of the green color. I am finishing up the garter stitch row of this dark color, and I'm getting ready to do my last 2 rows of the green, and then it will be all the dark color, and that will be good. I'm taking all this stuff with me to this conference like I'm really going to just knit like a fool, I guess. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But that way, I'll have whatever I want to work on will be there, because that way you can have options, right? Choices, good choices. Okay, so those are all my whips. I probably have some others too if I got to dig in, but those are the ones that are active right now. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit about future crafting. Okay, so since I blathered on so much in the whip section, I'm only going to show you one future crafting, and this kind of falls under the auspice of acquisition. Miss Betsy and I went to a garage sale on Friday morning. She is having some bad luck with some utility contractors who tore down an electric line by her house, and now they're fighting her, saying, oh, it wasn't code, and it wasn't this, and it wasn't that. Well, they flat run over that sucker and pulled it loose. And she was very upset, so she wanted to go out and do some garage sailing. So we went to, it said huge estate sale, and it was in a storage building area. And apparently these women's mother had passed away, and she was a sewist, quilter, and different things. Well, their definition of huge and my definition of huge is a little different, but we did find a couple of things that we liked. And one of the things that I found was I found a lap quilt top. Now, so it is, it's a lap quilt size, really. It's not even, it might be a baby quilt size too, but the top is all put together, and so I saw it, and the woman said, oh yeah, my mom was a quilter, there's some stuff out there, and there, so there were some packages of batting that had not been used, and I found this top, and I kind of had in my mind how much I was willing to pay for it. It's just blue fabric, blue and white fabric like that. And I asked her how much she wanted for it. She said 50 cents. Okay. Yeah. So I immediately said okay and paid the 50 cents. And I am going to finish that up and donate that to the hospice house. So that is going to be my only future crafting this week, but I couldn't pass that up. That was too good of a deal for 50 cents. I also got a really beautiful embroidered tablecloth for 50 cents. I think I spent a grand total of $3 there, and I got 2 packages of batting, a baby quilt size and a full-size quilt batting bag. I got 2 pieces of fabric that were over a yard that were really cute. The quilt top and the embroidered tablecloth that has a peacock on it for $3. I guess, you know, they were just trying to get rid of everything, and I kind of understand that. She had said they had gone through and got what they wanted, so I get that. So anyway, so that is all my future crafting. So now that is all my crafting content, except now we're going to move on to acquisitions. So if that's all you're here for, I hope that you enjoyed what you saw, and that you will come back and join us again. And if you're going to hang with us, let's move on to acquisitions. Okay, so you saw my one Tits Out Collective acquisition. That was by Honeybee Knits, and she is in Ohio, I believe, and her chosen charity was the Women's Law Center. And then I decided I would splurge and buy one more colorway. There were so many beautiful colorways, and I was just really amazed and so excited and so tickled to be a part of that energy that day. But I went through and looked for a charity that specifically benefited animals. That was my second choice, and so I found a yarn that I loved, and this is a yarn by Yoshi and Lucy, and I believe she is Yoshi and Lucy Knits on Instagram, and this is her 100% superwash merino 3-ply, fingering 490 yards in 100 grams, and this is colorway, and her little logo is 2 kitty cats there. I'm assuming those are her kitty cats, and this colorway is called Tit Cat. And this benefited the Empty Cages Collective, which is an animal rescue in New York. So I was very tickled to be able to get this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this just yet. It will be not socks, I know that. I want to wear this out where people can see it. But I thought that was a really beautiful colorway. Yoshi and Lucy on Instagram, or Yoshi and Lucy Knit on Instagram, and then they have, this is an Etsy shop, I believe, so you can check it out on there. I don't know if they have any of this left. I know that that initiative is going on through July, I believe, and there are some people who still have some colorways available. I believe Honeybee Knits is still doing dyed order. I know Suutra Fiber Art still has some. You know, end of summer gets a little tight for me since I don't get a paycheck through the whole summer, so I have to be a little bit careful, but I might try to scrape the money together to get a couple more colorways, because I think it's important to support one another in that way. So anyway, so there's that. Then the only other acquisition I'm going to show, I got back on the pen train. The Clever Clove had a giveaway pen, and that's what suckered me in, because if you spent more than $9.99, you got this pen, which says, Obstinate Headstrong Girl. You know anybody like that? Obstinate Headstrong Girl. Okay. That was your free pen if you purchased $9.99 or more. And I had been wanting to get this little guy for quite some time. It is a sock knitting Helen Coo. For many years, I loved a man that was from Scotland. And we went to visit his family more than once, and I always loved the Hugh and Coos because they looked so shaggy and so fun. So I had to get that. And then I also saw this pen, and I forget which classic novel this is out of. I should look it up, but I had forgot to. It's Let Me Be That I Am and Seek Not to Alter Me. I like that too. that aligns with my worldview really well. So I've got those 3 pens from the Clever Clove. Okay, she is also on Etsy. Okay, and she is one of the pen makers that participates in the charity second sale also. So she's got some really beautiful pens. She has a lot of little knitting animals. So if you want some knitting animals, I suggest you check out her Etsy shop. I still got black paint on my fingernails, I noticed, from where we were painting the barn earlier this week. So that is all my acquisitions that I'm going to show this week. So now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about science. Okay, guys, the science section this week is going to be a little brief compared to some of them, but I was going to talk a little bit about the workshop that I'm doing. I am going to do this workshop, as I mentioned, at Mystic South about the science behind weather lore. And one day I'll talk about some of those things on here, I think. But they did ask me to do the separate workshop about craftivism. So I'm excited to get to do those two. And there's going to be some other really cool workshops at that I'm going to try to do a little bit of video. I kind of feel weird about video and people, you know, that are talking, because there might be some people in the crowd that don't necessarily want to be accidentally in the video. But I am going to try to maybe talk with some people while I'm there and do a short little vlog of the conference. Now, this is not really sciencey, but I've been working today, like I said. Going out of town is kind of challenging when you have a farm at best. But I'm also trying to do this trip on like a shoestring budget. Now, it's kind of a running joke about my car. I have a Toyota Corolla that I purchased in 2006. So it's, what is that, 12 years old, really 13 years old. This year I bought it the first year, after my first year of work. And I had been driving a Chevy 3/4 ton to work, and that got in my pocket pretty bad for gas. So I decided to get a smaller daily driver, and she has been an exceptionally good car. My little blue donkey, I call her. She's been an exceptionally good car. She has over 300,000 miles on her, but I don't know how many, because there is a fault in the odometers of that year model and a couple other year models of Toyota Corollas where they stop at 2,999,999. And I was so excited to watch it roll over, and I was waiting. And it never happened, and I'm like, I know I've driven more than a mile, and I looked it up, and there's a fault. Bless her heart, she's been a good car. She has hauled a lot of feed in her day. The guys at the co-op laugh at me. They're like, you're going to wear that car out? And I'm like, I think that ship is done and sailed. But it's been a very good car. It's taken very good care of me. I keep it up. You know, I keep the maintenance up on it. Just put new spark plugs and belts and spark plug wires and new water pump and all that good stuff on it last summer. So I try to keep it up because it has been a very good daily driver. Plus, it's paid for. And I like not having a payment. There's a lot to be said for not having a car payment. It looks like, well, forgive the phrase, but it looks like damn it, as my dad would say, because it's pretty ragged out. Because driving on the interstate every day, stuff flies off of trucks, like we call them road gators, when recaps blow. And you can't have, I was driving home one day and a truck blew a recap right in front of me, and there was nowhere for me to go. I thought it was going to come through my window. It didn't come through my window, but it did break my window, and it busted my air dam. But she's been a good car, and I'm not going to complain. Knock on wood, she gets me to Atlanta safely there and back. She did last year. I wasn't going to drive it last year, and I have a student, Casey. She was talking about driving in a Isuzu rodeo to California and back that had almost 450,000 miles on it. I thought, oh, my car is a spring chicken compared to that. So, anyway, so I'm headed out for this conference, but I'm trying to do this as cheaply as possible. Plus, you know how when you go to a conference and you're kind of cooped up inside and all you do is eat? So, I'm trying to do this. I'm taking a lot of stuff with me. We have a refrigerator in the room and everything. So I've got I call it the snack purse. It's a big cooler that Marianne got me, that I've got, you know, stuff for breakfast and stuff for lunches in. Oh, here goes the Hallelujah chorus. Hang on just a second. Anyway, now that they've gotten done with that, I've got my snack purse packed. I've got my cooler that I'm going to pack up early in the morning, or Thursday morning when I get ready to leave, with drinks. Because, you know, I like my Diet Coke, and I am not paying $2 a bottle for a little bottle of Diet Coke in the hotel. So I have bought me 2 2-liter Diet Cokes. I will take my fancy new cup, and that is what I will use. So I'm kind of cheap, because that way I can buy more stuff like this, right? Anyway, so a cool science thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's kind of a funny thing too. I have been watching true facts about whatever, you know. They link the videos a lot of time on Facebook, but you can also find them on YouTube. And the one that first got me started was true facts about the Mantis shrimp. And any of my students that have ever had me for a physics class know that I love the Mantis shrimp, because the rainbow mantis shrimp is like the super creature of all times. Human eyes have 3 color receptors. We have 3 color cones. We have red, green, and blue color cones, okay? Now, with those, we have what's called trichromatic vision. There is a small segment of the population they think is developing over time evolutionarily a fourth cone and become tetrachromats. But human beings have evolved to have trichromatic vision. So we take red, green, and blue, which are the primary colors of light. Okay, not paint like you learned in primary school, but light. And we can see several million variations in color using those three colors mixed together, just like RGB monitors, red, green, and blue. Okay, the rainbow mantis shrimp has 12 color receptors. Okay, so, and they actually have compound eyes. Each one of their eyes is actually 3 eyes, and they are individual eye receptors. So that thing's kind of crazy. Then also, one form of the rainbow mantis shrimp has a punching fist that can punch at supersonic speed to stun its prey. And it creates cavitation bubbles, which cavitation means low pressure bubbles, and the low pressure bubbles, the pressure in them is so low that they actually emit light and heat. If this thing were the size of people, human beings would probably be extinct. These things are awesome. So there's several videos about all different kinds of animals. There's the true facts about the cuttlefish, true facts about the octopus, about frogs, about ducks. Now, some of the language in it's a little probably not suitable for young children, but it is hysterical. So if you get a chance to watch any of the true facts about, and I love the narrator. The narrator's voice just cracks me up. So I highly recommend watching those if you need something to uplift your spirits, because they will make you laugh, I promise. But anyway, so that's all I'm going to talk about on the science segment today. So now let's move on to farm life. Okay, guys, so on the farm, we have actually had several days where we've gotten little showers of rain in the afternoon. We've had, like I talked about a few episodes ago, those afternoon heating thunderstorms. And the nice thing about those, if they happen to crop up over you, you get quite a bit of rain out of them. So we've actually had 3 or 4 days of some rain, and so it has helped things substantially around here, which makes me very happy. Jacob came last Wednesday, I believe it was, and we started painting the barn trim. I have a barn that I built when I first moved home, and it was a kit that I had ordered, and it's got tongue and groove cypress wood in it, and then it's got metal trim, and the trim was needing to be refreshed. So we've started painting the metal trim. We have to kind of work in the shade because it has been pretty warm. We're actually getting a little break from the heat. It's not as blazing hot as it has been the last couple of days, which is good, because since I do have to be out of town, I'm thankful that it is not as bad as it has been. You know, the next few days we do have a little bit of a break from the heat, which makes me very happy. Oh, and I saw on my Facebook memories the other day, Daffodil, my little doggie that I found in the ditch. She had been hit by a car and had fractured her pelvis in 4 places. She couldn't walk for a long time, but I was able to get her back walking. And I saw a picture of me and her on your memories on Facebook where I had taken her to the chiropractor that day. So that was in 2014. I was tickled to remember what year it was, to see that and to remember what year it was. Last Friday, after I had gone to the garage sale with Mrs. Hayes, I came home and I was headed out to the mailbox, and I found a tiny little kitten in my driveway. Now, it was not there when I drove up. I would have seen it. It wasn't there when I drove up, and I had been in the house for a little while. I don't know if one of the barn cats had dropped it or whatever, but it was a day, maybe a day old. The umbilical cord had dried up, but it was tiny. I don't know. It had been out there, I don't know how long, in that hot sun. So I scooped it up, and I wrapped it in a t-shirt, and I was headed out the door to go get some kitten milk from the co-op, because I didn't have any. And I had just mopped my floors, and I had on a new pair of tennis shoes, and I fell. And I warped the ground. I hit it so hard. I hit my head. It was not good. It kind of scared me a little bit because I hit my head. Now, I got a big old goose egg knot on the back of my head, and I sat up and kind of, saw stars for a second, but I got up and still had the kitten holding, I still had it clutched to me, but I bumped my elbow and, basically gave myself a good case of whiplash too, but got up, sat there, for a couple seconds, kind of got oriented and got up and felt the bump on my head, and I thought, okay, that's probably okay, and my pupils were okay, and I wasn't nauseous and I wasn't dizzy, so I was like, okay, I'm all right. But I tell you what, that hurt, and that scared me because, I'm here by myself, and I fell. So, it was just one of those things where it kind of gave you some pause, to think about when that happened. But anyway, I was fine. It was all good. I'm still a little sore on my hips, where I warped the ground so hard, but I've been riding, and so it's no big deal. I've still got my goose egg, a little bit of it back on the back of my head there, but I'll be all right. But yeah, I got to be more mindful where I put my feet sometimes. There's that Facebook meme that says I'm probably gonna die tripping over a dog with a mouth, with a spoonful of frosting in my mouth. Anyway, unfortunately the little kitten didn't make it. It faded. It's very hard when they're that young to save them. I tried my best, but I posted about it. Farms, not all stories end with a happy ending, but it is our sacred duty to take care of these lives, whether we're blessed with them for years or days or even hours. It is our sacred duty to be respectful of the lives that we have in our care. So, I did the best that I could by it. It made me very sad. I buried her out. It was a little girl, and I buried her out in my flower garden. So she'll always be part of the land here. Don't know where she came from. I have no idea. But anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. The kids were back to riding. Weekly, we took the week of July the 4th off. Miss Marianne had to do a little bit of traveling herself to visit a friend who was ill. So we took that week off, but we've been back this week, and I've been helping this young woman named Eleanor work with Bo, because she's probably going to transition to riding him some, and then I'm going to start riding Flame some more. And so we've been working with him, and I've been having her do the round pen work with him exclusively. He is still on the schedule to go to the trainer. I don't know when that will be. It should be coming up just any time. I expect to get a hold, hear from her just any time that she will be ready for him to come. So, yeah, the garden is coming on. I've got some beautiful purple bell peppers. I've got some cherry tomatoes coming on. My elderberries are just starting to turn color, so I'm excited about that. The blueberries and the blackberries have kind of petered out. That dry spell kind of did them in for the last little bit. So we got that taken care of. The rabbits all seem to be doing good. I've got one rabbit that's got a sore on his foot that I've been having to treat a little bit, but he's been doing a lot better. I hope that he'll kind of turn the corner with him. The fans, I put the fans on a timer, which will just be handy for me just generally. Not only when I have to be gone for this trip, but also just generally, I know that at 10 o'clock in the morning that fan will turn on, and at 8 o'clock at night it will turn off, and I don't have to worry about it. That way I don't have to leave it running 24/7 while I'm gone, which is a waste of energy because they don't need them running at night necessarily. So, yeah. The chicks are doing really well out in their big pen. Knock on wood, I haven't had any trouble with predation thanks to those night lights, so hopefully that will continue. I went to a really great conference on Saturday. Mr. Drury, Mr. Kenny, who I buy my bees from, had organized for a really old-timey beekeeper to come and talk about beekeeping with us. This gentleman, Velbert, has been keeping bees in Heavener, Oklahoma for longer than I have been alive. He's been keeping bees for over 50 years. And he was talking a lot about what he does, and it was very inspirational to listen to him talk. It was very motivating to hear what he had to say. He shared a lot of great, tips where you don't have to use a lot of pesticides or weird treatments, just very natural treatments to keep your honeybees healthy. And he runs almost 400 hives, so I tend to believe him when he says he thinks something works. I was listening to some of the other people talk. There was a gentleman there who is the bee inspector for the state of Arkansas, because we send a lot of bees out for agricultural purposes. What you may not realize is the almond crop in California, they want all of those almond trees pollinated at the same time, so they actually rent bees from all over the United States, and they'll bring in over 1 million bees to those almond groves to have those bees work those almonds to pollinate them. So, you know, there are farms here in Arkansas that have 10,000 hives, and they send them all over the United States to pollinate trees, or to pollinate soybeans, or cucumbers, or fruit orchards, or whatever. You know, people realize that having bees around gives you a greater crop yield, and it is a organic method. All right. So it was interesting to listen to them talk about what they feel like the problems are facing our bees now. You know, there's been some concern about things like colony collapse disorder and stuff like that. It was interesting to listen to both him and Mr. Kinney talk about what they thought the problems were, and then John of Central Beekeeper Supply was there talking a little bit about what they provide, and they are a great resource in the area. And then listening to the bee inspector talk was really interesting. You know, because there are some diseases that face bees, like foul brood, European foul brood, and then American foul brood, which thankfully we don't have that down here yet. But there are some diseases that face bees that there aren't any known treatments for. You know, we have the varroa mite is one problem, and then the small hive beetles, and those have relatively easy fixes. I raise bees that are called the Minnesota hygienic bees, which are varroa mite resistant. So you don't really have to worry about treating them as such, although there are some very easy treatments that you can do with them. And I actually, while I was at the conference, texted my friend, Dr. Angel, and asked her to send me a bottle of Tylan, which is essentially Tylenol, or it's an antibiotic, but you crush it up and you mix it with powdered sugar, and the bees walk through the sugar, and the Tylan will cause the varroa mites to die. And so it's a relatively uninvasive treatment for varroa mite. I also use an oxalic acid treatment too. That it's the same thing that's in pixie sticks. If you've ever eaten pixie sticks, that stuff that kind of gives you the tangy taste on your tongue. And then also small hive beetles. There's beetle traps that are very easy to use, and I was actually looking at some of the new hive structures that you can put in that are even less invasive to the hive to treat for small hive beetles and varroa mites. So I'm interested in trying some of those next year. My bees do seem to be doing well. I do need to do a feeding for them, and I was listening to some of the people talk about doing like a mass feeder, and I've actually got a tub up in my barn that I'm going to bring down and put a layer of straw down in it and just pour some sugar water solution over it for the bees just to feed on at random instead of putting the individual feeders out. But it was a really great workshop. It was a shame that there wasn't more people there because they really missed out. I mean, listening to those old sages talk is a really important way to pass on that knowledge. You know, and I guess I think that's kind of what I want to carry on here in my world as well. So that's all that's going on the farm kind of this week. So let's come back and finish up with a few final thoughts. Okay, I'm recording a little later today, and I guess Willie thinks it's time for bed because he's taking a nap here. But I wanted to kind of play off this idea of this knowledge, okay, that this man brought to this beekeeping workshop. I was talking with my friend Marla when they asked me to do the front porch craftivism workshop, and I said, you know, I'm kind of worried because I'm not known in this community of people that I'm going to this workshop for. And she said, yeah, you are. You're known better than you think. And she said, you know, we got to talking, and she said, you know, you need to just realize you have something worth saying. You have wisdom, and you are one of the elders in the community now. And she said, you know, step up and take your place. You know, take your crown and put it on and go on. And, you know, I think that that's important. You know, as we get older, so, you know, society spends so much time trying to fight off aging, but with aging comes wisdom and experience that you can't get anywhere else, you know, and these old-time ways and these ways of these old farmers or old crafters or elderly people that are telling stories, man, that stuff's important, y'all. That institutional memory, those things are important. So, I've talked before about the importance of documenting, but I think the other thing that's important to me is to just give myself permission to be one of these people, to be someone who is contributing to these this legacy of knowledge. And like I said, I've mentioned before, I want to start an educational nonprofit here at the farm. And I think it's called imposter syndrome. You can watch, what is it, Brene Brown, those different TED Talks that she does about imposter syndrome. And it's very easy, especially for women, to feel that. I've lived my whole life, I guess, kind of trying to prove myself, and waiting for somebody to go, "You're a fraud. You don't know what you're talking about." Even sometimes now, I still think I'll look over my shoulder as a professor to go, somebody's going to figure out I don't know what I'm talking about. I've got to stop that. I've got to work harder at saying, I am an elder in this community. I am a wise woman. I've earned these silver hairs, and I have something important to say and important to share and worth listening to. And take on that role or that mantle or whatever you want to call it with pride and step up and be that person. I am still a relatively novice crafter. I'm a novice podcaster, but I hope that you have found something worthwhile in these 16 episodes that I have done, and that you have enjoyed them and you've been uplifted and motivated, because we all have something valuable to share. We all have a story that's worth hearing, and we need to share those with each other, and I think that's really important. So I encourage you to build community on if we can use this as a platform to do that, let's do that. We have the Ravelry Group. I think I'm just going to start a chit-chat thread or a sage wisdom thread, or whatever you want to call it, and let's share those things with each other, because there's a wonderful phrase that I love very much, and it is, "That which is remembered lives." All right, and that's sometimes said about people who have passed on or things, but that which is remembered lives. So let us remember people that were special to us, important to us, were mentors to us, other lives, our dear pets and our animals that were dear to us, places, occurrences, wisdom. That which is remembered lives. So let's dwell on that and think on that and try to remember those things and pass those things on. Talk to your kids, talk to each other, talk to your family, talk to your friends about things that are important to you. Talk to me. I'll be glad to talk to you, that which is remembered lives. So let's remember that, and I hope you're all meeting your crafting goals. And until we visit again, y'all be good to each other, take care of each other, and peace out. Bye.